I am satisfied there. I have enough. I am repaid. I need nothing more. Let me say before I go any further that I forgive nobody. I wish them all an atrocious life, and then the fires and ice of hell, and in the execrable generations to come an honoured name. Enough for this evening. This time I know where I am going. It is no longer the ancient night, the recent night. Now it is a game I am going to play. I never knew how to play till now. I longed to, but I knew it was impossible. And yet I often tried. I turned on all the lights. I took a good look all round. I began to play with what I saw. People and things ask nothing better than to play. Certain animals, too. All went well at first. They all came to me, pleased that someone should want to play with them. If I said, "Now I need a hunchback," immediately one came running proud as punch of his fine hunch that was going to perform. It did not occur to him that I might have to ask him to undress. But it was not long before I found myself alone in the dark. That is why I gave up trying to play and took to myself forever shapelessness and speechlessness, incurious wondering, darkness, long stumbling with outstretched arms, hiding. Such is the earnestness from which, for nearly a century now, I have never been able to depart. From now on it will be different. I shall never do anything any more from now on but play. No, I must not begin with an exaggeration. But I shall play a great part of the time from now on, the greater part, if I can. But perhaps I shall not succeed any better than hitherto. Perhaps as hitherto I shall find myself abandoned in the dark, without anything to play with. Then I shall play with myself. To have been able to conceive such a plan is encouraging. I must have thought about my timetable during the night. I think I shall be able to tell myself 4 stories, each one on a different theme. One about a man, another about a woman, a third about a thing, and finally one about an animal, a bird, probably. I think that is everything. Perhaps I shall put the man and the woman in the same story. There is so little difference between a man and a woman, between mine, I mean. Perhaps I shall not have time to finish. On the other hand, perhaps I shall finish too soon. There I am, back at my old apparetics. Is that the word? I don't know. It does not matter if I do not finish. But if I finish too soon, that does not matter either, for then I shall speak of the things that remain in my possession. That is a thing I have always wanted to do. It will be a kind of inventory. In any case, that is a thing I must leave to the very last moment, so as to be sure of not having made a mistake. In any case, that is a thing I shall certainly do, no matter what happens. It will not take me more than a quarter of an hour at the most. That is to say, it could take me longer if I wished. But should I be short of time at the last moment, then a brief quarter of an hour would be all I should need to draw up my inventory. My desire is henceforward to be clear without being finical. I have always wanted that, too. It is obvious I may suddenly expire at any moment. Would it not then be better for me to speak of my possessions without further delay? Would not that be wiser? And then, if necessary, at the last moment, correct any inaccuracies. That is what reason counsels. But reason has not much hold on me just now. All things run together to encourage me, but can I really resign myself to the possibility of my dying without leaving an inventory behind? There I am, back at my old quibbles. Presumably I can, since I intend to take the risk. All my life long I have put off this reckoning, saying too soon, too soon. Well, it is still too soon. All my life long I have dreamt of the moment when, edified at last, in so far as one can be before all is lost, I might draw the line and make the tot. This moment seems now at hand. I shall not lose my head on that account. So, first of all my stories, and then, last of all, if all goes well, my inventory. And I shall begin, that they may plague me no more, with the man and woman. That will be the first story. There is not matter there for two. There will therefore be only 3 stories after all. That one, then the one about the animal, then the one about the thing. A stone, probably. That is all very clear. Then I shall deal with my possessions. If, after all that, I am still alive, I shall take the necessary steps to ensure my not having made a mistake. So much for that. I used not to know where I was going, but I knew I would arrive. I knew there would be an end to the long, blind road. What half-truths, my God. No matter. It is playtime now. I find it hard to get used to that idea. The old fog calls. Now the case is reversed, the way well charted, and little hope of coming to its end. But I have high hopes. What am I doing now, I wonder? Losing time or gaining it? I have also decided to remind myself briefly of my present state before embarking on my stories. I think this is a mistake. It is a weakness. But I shall indulge in it. I shall play with all the more ardour afterwards, and it will be a pendant to the inventory. Aesthetics are therefore on my side, at least a certain kind of aesthetics, for I shall have to become earnest again to be able to speak of my possessions. There, it is then divided into 5, the time that remains. Into 5 what? I don't know. Everything divides into itself, I suppose. If I start trying to think again, I shall make a mess of my decease. I must say there is something very attractive about such a prospect. But I am on my guard. For the past few days, I have been finding something attractive about everything. To return to the 5. Present state, 3 stories, inventory, there. An occasional interlude is to be feared. A full program. I shall not deviate from it any further than I must. So much for that. I feel I am making a great mistake. No matter. Present state. This room seems to be mine. I can find no other explanation to my being left in it all this time, unless it be at the behest of one of the powers that be. That is hardly likely. Why should the powers have changed in their attitude towards me? It is better to adopt the simplest explanation, even if it is not simple, even if it does not explain very much. A bright light is not necessary. A taper is all one needs to live in strangeness, if it faithfully burns. Perhaps I came in for the room on the death of whoever was in it before me. I inquire no further in any case. It is not a room in a hospital or in a madhouse. I can feel that. I have listened at different hours of the day and night and never heard anything suspicious or unusual, but always the peaceful sounds of men at large, getting up, lying down, preparing food, coming and going, weeping and laughing, or nothing at all. No sounds at all. And when I look out of the window, it is clear to me, from certain signs, that I am not in a house of rest.